Hello reef lovers and welcome to the next Coral Cafe video. In the last episode we got to know the technical part and equipment of our Nano-Reef. All these devices make a great work for us every single day, ensuring the high water quality by clearing it, controlling its parameters, removing the nutrients and dosing micro and macro elements. But all these brilliant devices will be completely useless without the little piece of the ocean at home, created by the living creatures, inhabitants of our Nano-Reef, a complex ecological system closed in a jar. In this The Coral Cafe video I'll introduce to you actually all of them and make a short throwback to the times when the first forms of life began to form in our tank. Reef lovers, behold our life story. Please subscribe to my channel and remember to hit the bell icon to receive notifications every time I upload the new content. Enjoy the video. Several pieces of glass and plastic and a little bit over 100 liters of water. Numerous devices to move it, clean it and keep its parameters stable. Nothing special. But what makes this water container absolutely magical is the fact that everything inside it is living, from the pieces of rock to the beautifully colored animals. Believe me or not, but even the sand in this Nano-Reef is called the leaf sand. Why? How it's possible? Let me now introduce to you all living creatures in this little piece of the ocean and try to explain how a usual sand can be a living organism. Everything begins from the rock and the sand. Just some fancy shaped pieces of coral rock, usually covered with various algae, showing absolutely no signs of life. So why we, reef keepers, used to call it the leaf rock? It's the matter of several days when these pieces of stony-looking porous material becomes to thrive with millions forms of life, from microscopic beneficial bacteria, controlling the levels of ammonia, nitrates and nitrates, to totally random corals or even some animals such as bristleworms, little shrimps and snails. The leaf rock is definitely one of the most favorite and fascinating life sources of many reef aquarists, especially in the beginning, when the tank is cycling, stabilizing its microbiology and water parameters. When I set up my reef tank, the situation was exactly the same. Few hours after filling the aquarium with water, my 15 kilograms of leaf rock gave me the first reef forms of life. Several brittle stars, little Asterina starfish, stomatella snails, something what I initially thought was a sponge, but turned out to be a green polythoa coral, and a couple of Aiptasia anemones that I have to remove because they are pests in our Nano-Reefs and may dominate all the tank in a very short time, becoming a real disaster, slowly killing all the corals. Corals. Reef lovers, I think it's a good moment to introduce them to you. They look like the plants, but they are not the plants. They eat like the plants, using light and the process called photosynthesis, but they actually don't do this on their own. They have a symbiotic algae in their tissue, producing food for them. And what's the most shocking for many people, corals are animals. Probably some of you ask now, if they are animals, how they eat and poop. The answer is pretty simple. Photosynthesis is one of the ways they eat, but not the only one. Except it, the majority of corals has mouth to eat and in the same time to poop. They are catching the little pieces of food from the flowing water and transport it to their mouths using sticky polyps. These reef creatures are really fascinating and there are some really nice ones in our tank. Let's get to know them. We are beginning from the soft corals that do not produce their internal skeleton and are built only from the soft tissue. They are the most simple corals in fact, so I put them to my tank shortly after the cycling had come to an end. The first coral I've put was the purple Rhodactis. The tank looked like a desert, with only few corals, but now this one little Rhodactis is actually 4 Rhodactises, because it has grown and divided itself into new individuals. Shortly after introducing my first coral, I bought some new simple soft corals. Clavularia viridis, which disappeared few weeks later, and a little colony of zoanthids. The time was passing by, and my collection of zoanthids was growing by the new and more colorful frags, including my favorite fluorescent polyps. Then the next soft corals have came. A piece of live rock with mushroom corals, Discosoma and Rhodactis, and the biggest coral in my tank, Sarcopithon. Shortly after that, the time for the first large polyp stony corals has came. I've introduced green fluorescent Colostrea and my first Euphilia torch coral with beautiful green fluorescent tips. When I am looking at these photos, I just can't believe how big this torch coral is now. I've bought also the second torch coral, green fluorescent Euphilia, but unfortunately it died not long ago, affected by some unidentified parasite. Nevertheless, my collection of corals have been enlarging constantly. I've added more LPS corals, Lobophilias, Tubipora, and my favorite acants. More soft corals, Ricordea mushrooms, and my first small polyp stony corals, known as the most difficult ones to keep in home reef tank. I'm so glad that all of them, so Montiporas, Stylophora, and Seriatopora grow so fast and well. Reef lovers, I hope you are still there, because it's time to show you the most incredible but usually invisible and in the same time undervalued inhabitants of our reef tank, the cleanup crew. This group of little animals, mostly invertebrates, is super important for health and good condition of our tank, maintaining it clean, removing detritus and algae. It consists of numerous species of snails, from algae-eating turbo, Trochus, and Tectus snails, through fancy-looking Astralium, Angina, and Strombus snails, to Nassarius and Babylonia snails digging in the sand. Moreover, this army of snails is supported by algae tamer, Mespilia globulus sea urchin, sand starfish, Arcaster typicus, and cleaning shrimp, Lesmata amboinensis, removing pests and parasites from live rock and fish's bodies. Additionally, the cleanup crew is aided by millions of small aquatic creatures such as bristleworms, little shrimps, copepods, etc. And finally, something that I know you are waiting for. Our fish. First of them actually don't need to be introduced, cause they are surely the most known saltwater fish. A pair of clownfish, known widely as Nemo from Disney Pixar animated movie. I love to watch them swimming together and playing around their home, Euphilia torch coral. In their natural habitat, they used to live in the symbiosis with anemones, treating them as their homes. But because I don't have an anemone in the tank, they adapt the most similarly looking coral, in our case the torch coral, as their house, taking care of it just the same way they do it in the ocean. In the feeding time, our clownfish bring to their torch coral some pieces of food and feed it, so it grows much faster than other corals in the tank. The next fish living in the Coral Cafe's tank is a blue damsel, Pomacentrus aleni. The reason I bought it are the beautiful shiny scales. However, this fish is a little bit shy and love to hide among the live rock, swimming out only to catch some food. And last but not least, an orange-spotted goby, Valencianea puellaris, which is an amazing fish that keeps the sand clean by digging in it. It also digs small holes under the live rock to live in. As the tank is quite small, there are currently only 4 fishes. But in the nearest future, I am planning to add some more of them. Okay, reef lovers, the Coral Cafe's reef tank is now completely introduced. In this video you had an opportunity to get to know probably the most of aquatic creatures living in our tank: corals, fish and our little helpers, the cleanup crew. A nano-reef is truly amazing and complex ecosystem, trying to imitate a piece of the ocean as accurately as it is possible with all its parameters, relationships and variety of living creatures. Every time I think this little piece of the coral reef cannot surprise me anymore, something unusual and exciting happens. I would like to invite you for the next video, in which I'll start to tell an amazing story of this nano-reef, trying to focus on different adventures that takes part in it every single day. So if you want to be up to date, consider subscribing to the Coral Cafe and remember to hit the bell icon to receive notifications every time I upload a new video. Hit also the like button if you enjoy my work and share your opinion in the comment section below. Until next time, reef lovers, and let's reef the world!